I know once again to thank you for this course. I know it's really been a blessing for me. Just take this route again. Not going to college was something that I really appreciate. So that's something I'm really grateful for. And just everybody else, if you're kind of on the fence, I know you really love film references. For me, I'm a big Into the Spider-Verse fan. So in that sense, just to kind of be like Miles, take that leap of faith and just it's better to deal with the pain of potentially failing than the pain of regret. So you can always live a what if, or you can go for it and find out.
Hey, this is Seth with In Demand Career. I show people how to get life-changing jobs in digital marketing with no previous experience or education. And that includes my very special guest today, David, who is only 18 years old when he got his first SEO digital marketing job working at a very prestigious agency. This is a very exciting story, especially for our younger viewers wondering, do you need previous work experience to get an agency job? And the answer is no. David skipped college for success, so he doesn't have any debt, and he's already getting incredibly valuable work experience, able to save money, and he's starting his career so much earlier than most people his age. So I'm very excited to share his story with you. Thanks for being here, David.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Seth. I really appreciate it.
Awesome, man. It's my pleasure. So why don't you tell people a little bit about your current job that you have right now?
Right now, I work at this white label SEO company called Agency Elevation. Like you mentioned earlier, I work as an SEO specialist. So although our work is very partitioned out, I mostly work on just the client facing side of it, talking with agencies as well as getting into the weeds, doing optimizations, H1s, metas, meta tags, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, just digging into the tools that we have for the company. It's very focused on just that one side of SEO. And for example, like technical or content, that's something that I don't really work on so much. We kind of delegate it out to other teams because we have a high client load. I work with about 65 clients at the moment, which would be really, really difficult to do if I were to do all of those aspects of SEO. But yeah, it's just a very fast-paced digital marketing agency that I work at. It's a lot of client communication, just being able to know how to delegate with other team members in your team, and yeah, just work efficiently and productively.
That's amazing, man. And do you like the work? Do you enjoy it?
Yeah, I really love it. It was definitely a little overwhelming when I first started because at the most amount of clients that I had before my job at AE was about like four. So jumping from four to 65 was definitely a massive jump. But it's definitely, as the time went on and I got more adjusted to the workflows of AE and just getting into the groove of getting to the optimizations, reaching out to clients, all that stuff, it's definitely gotten a lot easier. And especially with the new management that came in, just being able to really train us and get us into a better flow, it's really helped out a lot. So I really enjoyed the job so far. I'm turning about 5 months at the job right now, so I'm really appreciative of how it's developed in my career as well.
That's amazing, man. I mean, I'll probably say this a few times in the interview. I mean, how old are you right now?
No, 18. No, 19, sorry.
Yeah, you just turned 19, and definitely you don't come across like you're 19. You sound very mature, and you're already handling a bunch of very, very senior responsibilities with all those clients. And of course, people are going to want to know how this happened, which we'll talk about in a moment. But I also just wanted to ask you, is this job remote, or do you go into the office?
No, it's fully remote. We have workers from all over the country, so it's just been all at home, all remote.
That's amazing, man. And I know you didn't really want to discuss your salary, which I totally respect, but just can you tell us a little bit about what it's like to have a job like this while you're 19 in terms of how it's affected your life, your lifestyle, your family, or your personal life?
Yeah, definitely. It's just been incredibly flexible so far. If I could give a very vague estimation, I'm like in the top 5% of earners in my age category right now. So if you want a bit of a ballpark, that would be what I would give you. But it's just been amazing. I've had a lot more time, especially to just enjoy myself with my family. I've been able to travel a bit. One of the benefits my job has is unlimited PTO. So as long as I'm giving my company enough notice, I can basically just spend as much time as I need to hang with friends, with family. I've been traveling over to Texas and New York in the last year or so. and it's just been amazing. As well as I've been able to save a lot of money recently, because I still live with my parents. It's a decision that I've decided to stick with simply because I'm still pretty young, and it's given me a lot more flexibility to whenever I need to make the big life choices, for example, like moving in or having a family or something in the future. I'm ready for that. So again, not having the debt at all is a massive bonus, because if I had gone to college like I originally planned to, I probably would be in a lot of debt right now and be worried about that.
Well said. I mean, I don't think I could say it any better. I mean, this is really, you know, this Dave is another great example of when I wrote the book Skip College for Success. Like this is what I envisioned. I mean, like you were smart enough to get an in-demand skill set. You saw that college was going to be a waste of time and money. And as you said, like you're in an entry-level position, but compared to other 18 and 19-year-olds who aren't making, either don't have any income, are building debt in college, or are working in a fast food place, you're really doing very, very well. And the fact that you can save money and travel is incredible. So of course everybody wants to know, like, how did this happen? Where were you, you know, like what was happening in your life when you found the course? And let's kind of start discussing your journey to this where you are now.
All right, so whenever people ask me this, I usually try to trace things back to around the end of the school year 2022. So around April, May, and June. That was around the time people were getting back their college application decisions. And for me, college has always been a big part of what I wanted to do when I was younger. My parents came here from Peru in 2005, partially for the reason to get me into college. My brother went to UCLA, and he works in finance over in Manhattan. So it would seem natural for me to follow those steps along, but I just decided to really play it risky with my college applications process and apply to only like five really selective schools. And the issue was this was around the time of the pandemic, so that these schools are even more selective. I didn't really take the steps to, do extracurriculars and just go full balls of the wall, like sleeping 4 hours or 3 hours a day to make sure you have the best college application process possible. So in the end, I was only accepted by two schools, and UCLA, UCSD, and USC. And for USC, we were looking at 80,000 a year plus tuition. For UCSD, we were looking at 35,000 a year, plus all the interest. So it just wasn't going to make any sense.
Do you
So
mean this is fascinating to me. When you said USC, you mean 80,000 a year? That is the tuition plus housing. Is that what you meant?
yeah,
Yeah, definitely. Keep going, man. This is very interesting.
it's also with 7% interest, which is just mind-boggling. So for USC, we're looking at what, like 320,000 plus 7% interest compounding, 140K for UCSD. So uh, June, I graduated. I knew that I was going to go to community college because there was no way I was going to get myself into that much debt. And I never really liked school a lot. That's something that I never really enjoyed. And I know a lot of kids who go to college, they deep down don't really like school. They really want to avoid it. They would much rather get on with their lives. But we're really embedded with this idea that we need to go to school, that we need to go to college. So I didn't really know what to do. I just kind of did my own film project for a competition during that summer. And around July or so is when I encountered this video online from YouTube, and it was talking about digital marketing and specifically your course. And it seemed kind of interesting to me. If you asked me a year or two beforehand if I was going to do marketing, I probably would have said no, because it just never really popped off to me. But it intrigued me because it was an in-demand skill set. It was also high paying, and it was just a way to get out of college, to be honest. So I looked into it. I took that free webinar that you're putting for the course, and it really appealed to me. I really thought maybe this might work out. So I did naturally what I could have done. I didn't want to make my parents pay for the course, so I had a bit of Ethereum, of crypto. I decided to sell it. Would highly encourage you not to invest in crypto, anyways. But I sold it. I had about 900 bucks in my account. The course was about 800, so I only had about 100 bucks left in my account, and I decided to just roll with it. And yeah, as little by little over the weeks went by, I started to really enjoy it. I was finding a love for marketing that I didn't really think was there before. I was very much a film kid back in my day. I'm a very artsy kid, but I knew there really wasn't much money to be made for me there. And as the weeks went by, ticking up to the first day of school for college that I signed up for, that I registered for, I'm a person of faith, so I was praying about it. I was just talking about it with my friends, and I made a decision to not go to college. And I went up to my parents a couple of days before the first day of school, and I was like, hey, like I'm not gonna go to college. I'm gonna go, do my own thing. I'm gonna take this course. I'm gonna go pursue digital marketing. And if it works out for me, great. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. But I'm gonna take that leap of faith, and I'd rather deal with the possibility of failure instead of, not knowing how my life would be. I don't want to waste 4 years in school to find out that I really didn't like what I was doing to begin with. So they were a little hesitant about it, but they were like, all right, you've got 1 year to figure this out. If you don't have this all set, you're going back to school. So it was a very high pressure situation, but I went on to it. I just started grinding. I had a fast food job in the meanwhile at Panda Express to support my individual expenses. And while I was, working at Panda Express, I was just grinding through the course. I finished it in about a month or two. And then I did the generating your experience section. And that's where I really started to find my affinity for SEO. I created my little website on short films at shortfilmhacks.com. And it started generating some bit of traffic because I didn't get any backlinks to the website, but I was able to rank third for for one of the keywords. And right now it's running at about 300 clicks per 3 months or so. So it's generated about over 2,000 clicks in the last year, which is still kind of mind-boggling to think about. From then on, I tried to use what I was gaining up in my social proof to start getting nonprofit clients. I started getting my first internship over at Upmarket, which is a Dutch freelance marketplace startup. And I started just gaining all this experience. And I started applying to jobs around November or so. And the first place I got an interview at was actually the same company for the guy who made the Udemy Google Ads course for Invention Media Group. And I actually managed to
Isaac?
Yeah, with Isaac's agency.
Isaac. Okay.
So I managed to get 2 interviews there. I actually talked with Patrick Gilbert, who was featured, I think, in one of Google's videos I think it was for AI. And it didn't really pan out. In the next couple of months, I was applying for jobs. I was consistently getting a good flow of interviews, especially for someone who, again, has no digital marketing experience in an agency or a college degree. I managed to get about 20 interviews and applied to about 100 places. So we're looking at about an interview per 5 applications. And nothing really panned out so much. There was companies that would be getting like 3 interviews and they wouldn't get back to me. But finally, around April or so, David and Eric, the co-founders of the company I work at right now, they reached out to me on Indeed and they started asking a couple of questions. They did a couple of interviews, and yeah, they really saw potential in what I was doing. They really saw that I had the skill sets to make it work out. They were getting a lot more demand in their company. So I think their companies doubled from Q1 to Q2. So they were really looking for SEO specialists, and they gave me the job offer in April. So that's where I work out now, long story short.
Oh man, it's very well said. It sounds like you've told the story before, because you tell it well. That's amazing. Especially, I mean, look, getting interviews you're 18 at that time. That alone is just really remarkable. And I hope you guys watching, whether you're in the course or not, like be inspired by the fact that you kept going. Some people might say, oh, you had all these interviews and you never got hired. Oh, I'm going to give up. No, you just kept going. And so I tell you guys in the course, you don't know when it's going to happen. It could happen on the 5th interview. It could happen on the 10th. It could happen on the 30th. You don't know, but you're going to end up in the right place. And it sounds to me like I'm sure, it's possible that some of those other jobs would have been good. It's funny you mentioned Isaac. I know his agency is really intense from what I've heard. And it sounds like where you're at now, I mean, this is like the perfect place for you. And it was exciting because obviously these guys saw your potential. They saw your knowledge. I'm really happy to hear that you have a passion for this. And I'll also tell you, as a fellow film guy, that as you grow in this career, because what I like to tell people who are creative, because when I grew up, to make a film, you had to spend $500,000 just for the film stock. Now with all the digital equipment and everything and the edit, I mean, geez, you could make a movie you could save up your money, make a movie, and support yourself while you're working. So, and then market it using your marketing skills. So there's a lot of opportunities, but you're just in the beginning of your career. And so what do you think, I was going to ask you a couple of different questions, but what do you think was like the difference with your current job? Like you said, they reached out to you, right?
Mm. Yeah, so it was definitely very out of the blue. I did not expect that because I was looking at some of the other agencies that I was applying for, getting some interviews at. One of the companies that I interviewed for, was interviewing for, is this really huge digital marketing agency. Like they're one of those like old fashioned marketing agencies, like from Mad Men.
Hmm.
They were had this like global brand to them, so it was definitely very corporate. Um, so having them reach out to me, the AE reach out to me, was really trippy. I didn't think that was going to happen, and I first wanted to verify if it was legit or not. Fortunately, it was. I know David Kay, one of the co-founders, the guy who really heads the SEO department. He is part of Forbes Council as well, so that really assured me. And just kind of talking to him face to face, he was a really kind person. He really wanted me to join the company. And right now, because of that, I'm working with a pretty big agency that we do fulfillment for. So yeah, it's definitely eased up the process a lot because there were so many other companies that I was applying for that I would get like 3 interviews in and I really wanted it and they would just like ghost me or something like that. So I'm glad it all worked out in the end.
That's how it works, guys. And I've been pushing, if you're in my Facebook group, you've been seeing I've been talking about Dr. Joe Dispenza and like kind of your mind, the power of your mindset. And I'm telling you, these types of things happen. Like you were looking over here at these, company over here, and then this other thing just came out of nowhere because you were really, I don't know how to say, you're creating that this is going to happen. Like you knew this was going to happen on some level. You just didn't know how. And I think that's the attitude you want to have when you're applying. What was one thing I'm going to say? I'm going to come back to the interview. You're very well spoken for somebody who's 19. And I asked you before we did the interview, like how is that happening? And you said you did speech and debate in high school.
Yeah, that was when I transferred high schools because I used to go to Roland High School. It was one of the suburbs in it's like an east uh, majority Asian Hispanic suburb. I used to go there. That's when I grew up when I first came from Peru, and I transferred school over to Claremont. It's more of a wealthier kind of area, and I didn't really have any friends back in that time when I first transferred over. So I was kind of listening to the speech and debate club, kind of seeing what they were about. They were promoting their new season, so I kind of gave it a shot. I made some friends, fortunately, and it also really just helped my speaking skills. So yeah, it's definitely been useful for a lot of things.
I want to come back to that because a lot of you guys in the course, and I think everybody in general. I mean, I was like this. I wasn't always, you see guys see me on YouTube. I've made videos about this. You think, I'm confident, I'm well spoken. I wasn't always like this. I did a lot of personal growth and development. I learned how to communicate. And you guys, it's a skill set. It's like you think, oh, these, people who are on YouTube or Instagram are just naturally like this. No, a lot of people have to train to do that. So I'm curious, what was it like? Like, what did you notice like before you did the speech and debate and after? Did you notice a major difference? Like, were you kind of more shy beforehand, or did you have like trouble articulating yourself? Like, what changed when you did the speech and debate?
Definitely being able to slow down and to really articulate what I'm thinking because I'm naturally much more introverted. So I really like to recharge, myself. Um, but just getting the jitters of stage fright and being able to speak in public, that was something that speech and debate helped me out so much, especially the speech part, because, if you're doing a speech, they'll stop you in the middle of your speech and be like, hey, you need to slow down. Hey, you need to articulate this a little better. So you get that positive feedback in that community as well. And debate, just being able to think on the fly, and just if someone gives you an argument that you didn't expect, how would you process it? How would you combat it? So being able to process all of those thoughts at that moment, that's really helped me out so much. And I was only in there for 1 year, but the skills that I took from that, they really stuck on me for the rest of my life.
That's really great, man. I mean, what's inspiring me to want to do another video about this because I know communication skills are where sometimes I have students, they're really smart, they're really driven, and they get digital marketing, but sometimes this is where they struggle. And I'm not, that would be a whole other course for me to teach. So I try to outsource that. But what I say is like Toastmasters is in like every city in the US at least. And it's basically an organization about public speaking. And if you have the opportunity, especially if you consider yourself to be an introvert, this is the biggest thing too I would talk about is I don't think introversion is you're not set. Like in our culture, we like to label things. So I'm this, I'm that, I'm this. Like you're not an introvert. I don't think introverts. You guys wouldn't believe this. I can be introverted. I've been here in my home and I spent like 3 or 4 days and I didn't go out. and I have to
Mm.
kind of psych myself up to go out and like socialize sometimes. You wouldn't think that seeing me on YouTube here talking all the time, but I have the experience of being introverted and I have the experience of being extroverted. It's not set in stone. So you said
Mm.
nobody watching this interview would have ever guessed you're an introvert, but you learned it. It's a skill set, just like digital marketing.
Mm.
And I've had other students, like I was just talking with Karen, who's one of my older students, and she got her first job also at 19. And I was like, what, how did this happen? She also had a communication type business type course in high school. So if you feel like you're shy or you say, I'm shy, I don't like talking to people, do a seminar, get in Toastmasters, do some type of training, and you get better at it. And then you said it stops being so scary. Like most people are afraid of public speaking. And it's just like any fears. Like if you face the fear, you get more relaxed. Then when you're in the interview and all these people are looking at you, you don't feel panicked. You feel more relaxed. So let me ask, coming back to that, what was the interview process like at the agency Elevation? Like, what were they asking you about? Obviously, they liked your resume, they liked your personality, I imagine. Like, what were they asking you about? How did it go?
Just I was actually different from most other interviews, surprisingly. It was very much because they were already pretty set on kind of getting me on the job. Just personality questions. It was more so like, do you think you'd be ready for this? Kind of giving me an overview of the whole situation because they know that working in a white label agency is different from your standard digital marketing agency. So in that sense, they were kind of just probing me on more personality wise, just kind of getting to know me as a person much more, which I think a lot of other companies do as well. But a lot of them do sometimes get into more technical weeds of it, especially the interviews past just the main recruiter, generally.
Right, right. And just to clarify for you guys, white label, it means that you're basically fulfilling work from other agencies, correct?
Correct. Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
because other agencies want to focus more on just not only just fulfilling but also getting new clients. It's very tricky to do both and have a sustainable model if you want to do everything in house.
Yeah. So like an agency, and there'll be some of these guys are really good salespeople. They'll bring on a client and then they'll send them over to David's agency to actually do the work.
Mm.
And that's kind of funny to think that they didn't really quiz you too much on your technical knowledge, considering that that's what you're doing. But also, you said you have a lot of client facing responsibilities as well.
Yeah. So right now, like I mentioned earlier, we have a lot of clients, 60 plus or so. So uh just being able to get down to the work of it, and also if they have any questions, just being able to get back to them. If they need to get a report back to one of the clients, being able to stitch it out. If you ever need to come on the calls just to answer any questions that they may have, it's just, it's meeting their needs really. And you're brought there for a reason to really provide value. We all know how valuable digital marketing is nowadays. So being able to express that, to see, for example, like, hey, you're getting good traffic, you're getting good rankings. Well, we can fix this instead. Could you change this up? Could you make this content longer? Being able to really articulate all those things, and if there's a gap that needs to be met, and if you can meet it, if there's someone else in the team that can meet it, you can delegate it out. It's really being honest and just straightforward about that, and also, like I said earlier, just getting their needs met.
Awesome, man. And so I'm sure you said your clients. So your clients are other agencies, right?
Yeah.
So you're giving them the feedback, and then they're going to go to their client
Yeah.
and,
So
and talk to them,
we
right?
yeah, so we on top of like working into their accounts, so we get access to their WordPress or Wix or whatever CMS to use. We go in and we actually optimize the pages, we optimize everything, we organize the keyword research, the rank tracking, all that kind of stuff. It's mostly local businesses
Mm-hmm.
we work with, so across the country. So they give us their clients and we work optimize their backends if they need any reporting, or we can give out reporting every once in a while. Just articulating that we're getting the work done and that they're providing the value that they're paying for, really.
Right, right. That's also awesome to hear it's local businesses, guys, because when I started in this field in 2011, so that's like a long time ago. And my agency was built from this one guy who had hustled together. I don't know if it was like 50 or 60 clients, and they were all small businesses. And the majority, of Google Ads and SEO clients are still small businesses. I mean, there's some big clients, some huge, corporations and whatnot, but there's
Yeah.
just millions of these small businesses who are, this is why in the course, like you can meet these small business owners and get your hands on their accounts from nothing. And actually, as long as we're getting into it, because you've done such a good job. I was curious. You said when you were generating your experience, and this is helpful for people in the course, you said you got your hands on like a nonprofit. Like what were your clients that you had before you got hired?
So the main nonprofits that I work with were the Dreamcatchers Foundation. So they mostly help with hospice patients and just give grants. It's like Make-A-Wish for hospice patients, literally. That one was probably the briefest one I worked with. And the other one that I worked with was the Boston Festival Orchestra. They're over in the East Coast. They're focused on classical music and just really outreaching to the community. They're all very community oriented. Just I know they work with like Big Brothers Big Sisters over in Eastern Massachusetts. So yeah, just it's very straightforward. They know as when you give them the audits, when you give them the Google Ads spreadsheet, they're like, yeah, this is what we need. So that really expressed a lot of value to them. The insights that you give to them, they really appreciate it a lot. So I managed to get one of the guys from BFO to give me a recommendation on LinkedIn. He was really, really thankful for it. Even though I kind of had to cut off the client work a little bit earlier than I thought I would have liked to. He was still really appreciative. So it just shows that how much value SEO can bring. It's just at the minimum, that perspective that SEO brings of just like brand marketing, it's a solid way to reach out, to get your brand out. Unlike, for example, that doesn't really cost as much compared to, let's say, billboards or radio, where big corporations tend to win a lot more. So it really democratizes the process a bit more. And if you really want to go like crazy with your SEO, you could spend more. But it definitely makes it easier in general than just the standard route. So yeah.
Yeah, SEO is, guys, if you're not in the course, I mean, this is how this is what got me hooked on digital marketing in the beginning. Is like I did the same thing that David did. I had a film school website. I still have it. I haven't updated it in years, but it's called Film School Secrets. And I learned SEO. I optimized my page for keywords, and then people who are using Google to research information about film schools found my website, and I was getting all this free traffic. That's like free potential customers. And it's still like that. You can still take a small business or a nonprofit and using your skills and knowledge, help them get traffic in ways they didn't know how to do before. And so a few changes you make can mean thousands of dollars or more for a small business, which is, and it's really nice. And I encourage you guys in the course to volunteer. A lot of these volunteer nonprofits are great opportunities to get experience because they don't have big budget, so they're really open to volunteers, and that's where you get your experience when you start out, and then that boosts your confidence, and then you're getting interviews, and then you get hired. So yeah, man, this is all great stuff, and I think it's really inspiring. I'm very happy for you, and I'm excited to see where you go from here. So yeah, I'm going to wrap it up, but before we wrap it up, I just wanted to ask you two things. Number one, do you mind if people reach out to you on LinkedIn?
Yeah, for sure. It's just it's just my first and last name. You can reach out to me. It's just work at Agency Elevation again if you want the name of the company. I'm always free to just talk to you guys. If you guys live in SoCal, grab some lunch or something. I don't mind. So yeah, definitely reach out to me if you want to.
That's awesome, man. We really appreciate that. And I'll put the link to your LinkedIn in the description of the video. And then just last thing, is there anything you want to say to me or to anybody watching the video?
First of all, to you, I know once again to thank you for this course. I know it's really been a blessing for me. Just take this route again. Not going to college was something that I really appreciate. So that's something I'm really grateful for. And just everybody else, if you're kind of on the fence, I know you really love film references. For me, I'm a big Into the Spider-Verse fan. So in that sense, just to kind of be like Miles, take that leap of faith, and it's better to deal with the pain of potentially failing than the pain of regret. So you can always live a what if, or you can go for it and find out. So definitely give it a look. I'd really suggest, I'd really advise that for anybody who's interested in the course, because there's definitely a lot of value to it. At least most colleges aren't going to teach you how to make your resume or approach interviews or give you coaching calls. That's not going to come in the package of USC or UCSD. So definitely consider it for that. That's something that definitely really appealed to me, because I know as soon as I would have, if I in an alternate universe, if I went to UCSD, I probably would have been completely lost as to how to approach the whole entire job application process. So for that reason, I really found it very useful.
Awesome, man. Very well said. And yeah, if we were in an alternate universe, you'd still be in school building debt, learning outdated marketing concepts from some 90-year-old professor, and you wouldn't even know what SEO is. I mean, it sounds crazy, but the students who go to college don't even learn about digital marketing. If they do, it's like a one elective class. um, you got your electives. It's like, well, Swedish massage, ballroom dancing and digital marketing. Oh, these are all just fun little things to learn. And, they don't. Yeah. Yeah. You know me, I like to talk about that, but I think you said it really well. So I'm so happy that you are in this universe where you are working at a great job, building your career very early. And, by the time you're 22, I mean, it's just really exciting to see where you'll be. So, thanks for sharing your story with us. And we'll talk soon.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me on.